Hello, friends, and welcome to The Musician's Musician. I am your host, Nick Costa, and today's episode is a very fun one. I got to talk with my old friend, Doc, from the wonderful project Sawtooth Witch. They just put out a new single not too long ago. There's going to be a whole bunch of more singles coming out. There's an album. It's really good. I got to get a little sneak peek of it. I can't wait until you get to hear it. They also used to previously use the moniker They Self as well. And so look out for that. Go back and listen to They Self's music if you haven't yet. It's really fantastic. Doc and I go way, way back, playing shows in tiny little rooms across the Twin Cities together. And then a little bit after that, we did some gigs with them as They Self and my old group, The Four on the Floor. Used to play together quite a bit. And it was always just such a treat. It's really hard to describe Doc's sound because it's so familiar, but so singular at the same time. It's like stompy blues, but also with this level of bellowing and crooning. It's almost sorrowful, but it makes you kind of want to move. I think they actually refer to it as ADM, or acoustic dance music, which is a phrase that I love that so much. Doc also hosts a radio show on KFAI in Minneapolis called Desert Islands, which I actually just did an episode of, and it's a really cool premise. They ask their guests what 10 albums they would bring to a desert island, and then they make a playlist based around that, as well as interview the artist, of course. So it's really cool, and in short, Doc rules. Let's just summarize all of that up. Doc is the best. They wanted to talk about the band Morphine, who is one of those bands that I had heard of, but hadn't really heard. That old chestnut. So it wasn't like a deep discography listen at all. And it was kind of similar to Doc's music in the sense that it was like incredibly unique, but oddly familiar. I think I listened to the entire discography one night as I made dinner, and it was just so enjoyable, and I'm so glad that they chose this band to talk about. We'll get into the interview in just a second here, but I just wanted to say really quickly that my new album, When the Lights Go Out, is out now, wherever you stream music, and people have been saying really, really sweet things about it. So it makes me so happy. Thank you so much for saying that, and thank you for listening if you have. If you've listened to the show, you'll know that I've poured a lot of myself into this one, and I'm really proud of it. So if you haven't listened yet, please do. This is your sign. Also, if you like it, I've got a whole bunch of records that I don't want to live with me forever, so please consider buying one. You can go to nick-costa.com. And there's a link on there for the merch store. There's a couple t-shirts left. There is CDs, and there's vinyl. All right, enough about me. I'd rather talk to Doc about Morphine, so let's get into it.
Some credit to show you how talented you are. So long to chart stoppers, for some they're heart stoppers. They'll never get played at the ball, but they're not making records for dancing after all.
Okay, so I am here with Doc of Sawtooth Witch. Doc, thank you so much for being a musician's musician.
Thanks for having me. I know off mic we were joking that like if we didn't do this, we would never hang out. But like it's kind of getting sadly true just because this is like talk about musician's musician. This is just like the musician's life of just like, oh, we should hang out. I think I'll be in that city next year.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can hang out then.
Yeah. Sweet.
Sweet. All right. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
So, no, it's like it's actually good to like hang out and procrastinate on all the deadlines that I.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
They're not flying by, but they're in the rear view mirror, like kind of gaining on me. I'm just like, yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But, like it's fun to actually talk about like something fun and something else, and just hang out with, a friend that I haven't seen in a long time. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to see you, and it's usually the other way around because you have Desert Islands,
right?
And I you've had me on, and you've been very kind to have me on, and we've talked about Weezer a few times, but as we are one to do on this podcast. But
as one does.
Yeah, but it's nice to have you on the other side so that I can kind of ask you and get your thoughts about music and songwriting and a really great band that I hadn't really heard before, which was Morphine, which we're going to talk about.
Really? Oh, okay. So I'm excited because for me, I love conversations like this because one, I get to talk about a band that like I never get to talk about.
Yeah.
I feel like this band is like a cool rock that I'd be like, oh man, have you just checked out this rock?
Yeah.
You know, but like it's also a band that I feel like there's a very particular person. Like anytime I meet someone who likes Morphine, I feel like it's that scene in Step Brothers where it's just like, whoa, did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
It's not like if you know those Onion cartoons, like I feel like this band is a hard to sell unless you just experience it, because it's just like
yes,
like just picture a cartoon. There's like a sad crying family. The Statue of Liberty is there for some reason. A Christmas tree is like in the living room. It's just a wholesome moment, but they're distraught, and it's like hardworking American guitar enjoyers.
Yeah.
And then there's this guy outside the window just delighting in the mayhem labeled sickos. That's me in the corner just going, yes.
Yeah.
There's not a guitar. There's no guitar in this band. Yes.
That's exactly.
It's like because we're both guitar nerds. So when people are like, what's your favorite band? I'm just like, it's got to be Morphine.
Yeah.
Like, because and they have some of my favorite songs, but like I don't think your favorite band, to me, your favorite band is a lot like favorite skateboarders. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, you know, there are people where it's like, well, obviously there are more athletic or, you know, more creative, but the personality and the way they execute everything is everything to me. Mm-hmm. Like nobody is doing it like this guy. And Mark Sandman was one of those people where it's like, I can't tell if this guy's from the future. I can't tell if he's from the past. And when you dig into his life, it's even harder to say, because like he's suffered some real like death of siblings, you know, estrangement from family, but he also like was a lot like he didn't get famous until he was like mid 30s,
late 30s.
He traveled the world like just doing odd jobs. Like he did the Steinbeck thing. Like he went to like fisheries and canneries and just like went to South America, and then just came back with like all these new perspectives on life and just started these bands. He started with Treat Her Right, and then like Morphine arose from the venue they were playing at, burnt down, and everyone just had to get out of there. And like some of the band like didn't even get out with all their gear.
Right.
So the start of this band was just like, you got to get to van to venue in one trip. And like, just like all these creative like parameters behind this band, like just kept making it cooler to me. And the fact that he would like deliberately like speak quietly in interviews, so a lot of the audio was ruined and he couldn't publish much of the interviews about this band.
I did notice that
about this band. Yeah, like he would deliberately like kind of cover his own tracks and like make it harder to really get a hold of what was going on with this thing. Yeah. But it made me want to know more about what was going on with this thing.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. I mean, like kind of going back to like the fact that it's a little bit of a hard sell. Because when you brought it up, I was like, oh, you know what? Like that's the band that I've heard of and I've never really dug in. And then I like, usually when this is the situation and I'm not familiar with like the album or the band that we're talking about, I'll go right to Wikipedia and I'm just like, so you're telling me that the band is bass, saxophone and drums?
And drums. Yeah.
Okay. And then I dug in and I'm like, oh, this is like, I mean, like for the time it was made, wildly ahead of its time.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of this stuff was made DIY. Yeah. Which is like, it's there's like some weird stuff going on that it's just like we are still ripping off Morphine without knowing it. Like,
Yes.
like the presidents of the United States of America, like their weird instruments. It's because that dude was Mark Sandman's roommate, and he was watching Mark Sandman build all these weird instruments, and he's like, "Hey man, what are you doing over there?" And then he tried it, and they were like, "Oh, we can make a sound out of this." And it's almost cinematic when you listen to Morphine. Like you're watching like a Tarantino movie. Like he immediately drops you into, I don't know who Candy is. I don't know who Claire is, but like I know they're important.
Yeah.
I feel like I know them now. I feel like I should know them.
Yeah.
You know, like he has a way of being evocative without being provocative, you know, like there's a lot of like tough guy bands that like when they get older and they're just like, we play cards and we bought guns and we're gangsters. Like, this, like he evokes that, but like you can kind of tell he lived it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Where like the other guys are like cosplaying it. Like this guy like actually probably went to some weird motel in the suburbs of Denver to do something.
Yeah.
You know, and but like that, like film noir style of lyric and the style of delivery, no one else can do that. Like
his lyrics are incredible.
His lyrics are incredible, but like if I tried to sing that, like it would be, if anyone else tried to sing it, it would be like a pickup line that would fail miserably at a bar. People would be like, okay, get, but like, he just kind of has this way that you're like, yeah, this guy's it. Like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's it. Like you know, it's a whole world that he draws you in. It's very dreamlike. Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that, like, there's nobody else who can really do this, because there was a couple of moments where I was listening to this. I'm like, I wonder if Doc has covered this song, because like it feels like something that you would play. Do you?
I cover Morphine a lot. Because
have you ever covered "You Look Like Rain"?
I've thought about it. I will bust out "In Spite of Me," "You Speak My Language."
Okay.
I'm blanking on the title, but my ADHD is just going to say the chorus. "Mary, won't you call my name?"
Sure.
You know, I'll throw those songs out because I like. The whole thing behind my thing was like, when I fell in love with house music, it kind of like opened the floodgates of possibility of like the fact that we're sampling real musicians to make this, you know, electronic disco. Like, this is like East Coast hip hop. Like, a band could be playing all these records. And as someone who like grew up with like trying to find a bridge between their like Americana and bluegrass, like folk punk upbringing with like all this like funk and punk that like I really had no business putting into my like, and it's just like, oh, you can kind of just take this idea of like, take these vibes, take these ideas, you can play them on any instrument. And so I like kind of, instead of jamming, kind of like imagining like you're a DJ, you'll just hold on to a groove, then you'll start singing lyrics of other songs, and then you're just in that song.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'll throw in Morphine songs or like old punk bands in like in that groovy style, and like most of the time people just think it's like originals just because we're old now. But for me, like I always found the choice of covers is more important than like, because every person was like, you got to throw some covers in your set. Where I'm just like, okay, that might be, but like, I think the cover should be a signifier or at least a conversation starter, where if someone in that audience who has never seen Sawtooth Witch was like, did you just cover Morphine?
Yeah.
It's just like, did we just become best friends? Those, like, how did you even know Morphine? You know, that, and that's when you become like, it's bands like this are special because they do like, not to bring up skateboarding again, but it reminds me of like when you were a kid and you were like passing around videos and you're like, oh, this band does this thing. Like no one else is doing this thing. Like,
right.
Or you're just like, I like the way that band does this thing, but honestly, this band does that thing better. You know, like it's like that's kind of this was always that band that like I feel like you kind of had to. You knew there was a kinship because like it's like a temple. It's open to everybody. But you also know the journey you had to get to find Morphine. And
sure.
there's like this special thing where like once someone brings it up, it's like, okay, we're going to get along.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's expand on that a little bit. Because usually I do like to ask this question, but do you remember the first time that you heard Morphine?
Yeah. It was like... It was when I was like, I say kid lightly because like I'm at the age where like I consider my teenage years to be like I was a, you know, dumb know-it-all kid. But it was around that time where like it really did feel like the skate days where it's just like, oh, dude, I heard there's a kid who can 360 flip. Yeah. You know, like you just heard rumors of this band with no guitars. And I was just like, what? Is this like Captain Beefheart where it's like, then you're like,
which is what I was thinking when I looked them up, you know?
And it's just like, and you listen to it and you're like, how does this work? This works so well.
It's incredible.
And the thing about these songs is like they work on other instruments. Like they're just sultry bluesy songs. So it's like it's not because Morphine has this weird instrumental gimmick. Like they hook you in with that, but like they keep you because like he knows how to tell a story without like telling the full story. And the riffs he writes are interesting. And the percussion, like their drummer is like one of my favorite drummers. Like it's just the way he like puts ideas, like you could just put a 4 on the floor backbeat behind any of these songs
and they work,
and it would work, but like he didn't want to do that, and that's what's cool about it.
It's amazing how sparse the songs are, but still how much ear candy there is. You know, and like they're all very approachable. Like there's not. It's like it didn't ever feel. I listened to the whole discography, and like it never felt like a task listening to one of their albums. You know, like sometimes it's like. God, I love Bjork so much, but there's a couple albums where I'm like, I really had to get through that Bjork album.
It's like sometimes like Henry Rollins has this great way of putting it. It's just like some listens are carbohydrate listens and some listens are protein listens. Like Bjork has some like Ezekiel wheat bread protein listens.
Yes, definitely.
Like some very dry. I know it's nutritious and I know it's rewarding, but sometimes I'm not looking for that first thing in the morning.
My partner Charlie has a phrase that she likes to use. That's she calls it museum music. We're like, I know. You know, like you go to a museum and there's some art that you can appreciate, but you don't want to bring it home. Like you wouldn't want that in your house. Sometimes there's music like that.
Perfect. But that's perfect.
But like Morphine is not that. And like on paper, you would think it might be, but it is like, there's a lot of pop sensibility in there. And like,
I've always been, I feel like once people find out Morphine is my favorite band, like they start picking apart like my discography, and then they're like, "You make a lot more sense," because your whole shtick has been like, "Okay, let's go outside the margins, but let's find what's pleasing about this to everybody and celebrate it." But I think sometimes when you're booked on certain bills where it's like very delicate folk music, it can seem like I'm a attacking. You know?
Sure,
And it's
sure.
just like, no, it's just weird.
I've never felt that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, I've also I play a lot of like off the beaten path places that just like sometimes
Right.
it is like met with like, we never get this here, this is awesome, and sometimes it's just like, yeah, that's different for a reason. We don't see that much, probably because we shouldn't. You know, you can leave anytime, kid.
I mean, yeah, that's happened to me too, and I feel like I'm not even that outside the box usually.
Yeah,
but like
I this band has always found a way to be like, look, I am never gonna fit in, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. And they found a way to like make that their strength rather than, because like most bands, like that crutch would get old.
yeah.
And it like, I like some of their albums more than others, but like I don't think there's like everything's a passing grade in the discography, and it's like really hard to do like when you're kind of labeled as a gimmick band, and it's just like that's the thing, like it's not a gimmick. Like Mark Sandman is a really good writer. And actually a good bassist. Like I think people were like, "Oh, you're just getting weird sounds," but like there's some fills in there where it's just like that's a pretty fast triplet there, my guy. Like
and
that.
we're not. Yeah, I don't think we've actually touched on the fact that like he's not playing a normal bass. He's playing either a 1 or 2 string bass.
Yeah, and he modifies it so he can play slide on it.
Right.
So when he's fretting it, he has to like push extra hard. So some of those like things where he's not playing the slide and actually fretting, like it's, and then like the other guy's playing 2 saxes at once. Like they're not overdubbing that.
Yeah.
Like at first I was like, oh, that's a good arrangement. And then there's like this concert of them in like Amsterdam where like he's just playing. I'm just like, this is like everything about it is like, if you talked about it out loud, like you'd be like, you are such a nerd. This is like marching band, like theater kid bullshit. Like, what are you about to get me to listen to? But then when you watch it, you're like, this fucks.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, there's always like a fine line to walk if you're like really kind of, I mean, for lack of a better term, like showing off your musical ability.
Yeah.
Where like you can either be like, wow, this is like technically very impressive, or you can be like, they're just wanking off.
Yeah, and I
Morphine never crosses
like
the line into wanking off.
No, they ride it though, because
they do
times where they show off their chops, but it's like it's just so tastefully done because they get right back to the story.
Yeah,
you know, and I always appreciated that about them, because it's just like, yeah, like by all means celebrate yourself and flex a little bit, you know. Like I would argue Prince was great at that, you know. Like he I don't think Prince gets credit for being the arranger that he was. Like I think he was a stronger arranger than he was composer. Like he knew how to like frame all these ideas and sell them really well. And I only bring up Prince because like Sandman, that was like his dream collaboration.
Really?
Which, yeah. Like there's an interview before he died where they're like, what kind of music is this? And he's just like, it's just music to us, you know, like, well, like, who do you want to work with? And he like talks about like Prince. I think he's like, I think he's got it, you know.
That'd
like,
be such a wild collaboration.
Yeah, at first I was just like, how would this work? But like now I'm like, I don't know, that like it like either Prince would have produced a Morphine record. Like I think if Prince produced a Morphine record, it would work. I don't know if Sandman would work in Prince's band.
No.
But like Prince like arranging like horns on like a Morphine record actually makes a shitload of sense.
It does.
I'm sorry I'm cursing so much on your podcast.
No, this is You can swear all the damn hell you want.
all the darn heckin' time you need to. Yeah. I guess.
No,
I spend so much time on the air not. Like don't swear. So
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes
this is the
I let
opposite.
it slip a little too much. Yeah.
No, yeah. This is fine. No, but I was going to say, no. Bon oui. But I was going to say the thing that I think really saved this band for me was like, there's a lot of bands from that time period who are kind of victims of the production cliches of the time. And since they were a little bit more DIY, they didn't have the budget for those things. So like, I think if they worked with Prince, they might have some more gated reverb on the snare or something like that, you know, like,
they would have. And I think as they got more major label money, you can kind of see him experimenting with that. Like Mark is like trying to kind of like, okay, like I got to stay ahead of the curve. Like they need a hit. I don't really, that's not why we're doing this. Like we're, you know, but even then he still preserves that sense of like, oh, that's his vision though.
Yeah.
Like it's not just this gimmick thing. I think for me, what saves it ultimately is the groove. Like if you don't have that groove, none of this is gonna make sense. None of this is like even worth your time. But like the fact that they just like, I'm gonna start sounding like like 1950s. Like, I mean, they swing, man. They just the killer.
They got it. See, they got it.
Yeah. Look at this. But like, it's weird because like they could kind of fit in that time. But I feel like you could put a Morphine song in like a big budget show, and people like today would probably freak out. Yeah. You know, like it, and you could do it in 20 years from now. And I bet people would be like, this is a cool song. Yeah. Like it's just, there's something timeless about it.
There is.
And it's so unique.
There was multiple times where I had to like check when the album came out because I was like, wait a minute, this was 1991. Like, it doesn't sound like anything from 1991.
No, like sometimes I'm just like, this is like the 80s, and then you're like, no, and then there are times where it's like, oh, this could be made today. You know, like some band could have like
a lot of it sounds modern.
Today. Yeah, like it's really. Like if I had a time machine, this would be like one. I feel like if I had a time machine, all I would do is just like go see shows. Like I'm like I have no interest in power. I have like no interest. You know, like I've only wanted attention that's earned. You know, just people looking at me like it just goes back to like. You know, like it's just like why are you looking at, you know, like if I'm doing something that's like worth looking at, then it's just like oh okay, I get why you're, you know, like I've never been interested in like I could become rich. I'm just like I'd be sick to see Coltrane.
Yeah, you're not going back to steal the sports almanac or whatever.
No, like I want to see like Nina Simone. You know.
Hell yeah.
I don't care about like what were we talking about?
Morphine. No, that's really interesting though, because so we kind of were off on talking about the Prince influence, the Prince influence, which like it does loosely make sense in like
it makes sense in vibe, but not orchestration. I think
no, certainly not. They don't really have the band members or the instrumentation to go that route.
But in a weird way, I think they created in similar manner.
You think so? Like
when you watch interviews with Mark Sandman and he talks about like the 2-string bass, he treats it like it's very pedestrian. Like, you know, like where most people would be like, look at this thing I built. And he's just like, well, every string has every note. So if anything, 4 strings is just extravagant on my part. And people are like, it's just, it's just like and Prince kind of just had that, like, well, I can do whatever I put my mind to. So what's the problem? Like I definitely, like, it makes no sense, but like personality wise, I actually think they would share a vision, but like just from completely different instrumental backgrounds. Like, but they had that personality of like, they just dreamt really big and they could embody that dream and just live there. And that dream had so much gravity that it just sucked people in. Yeah. And people like wanted to buy in. They were like, no, I want to watch this dream. I just want to hang out. I want to see where it goes. I don't know what's happening, but like, you got me hooked. Like I'm following you now.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, while I was listening, I kept on trying to be like, does this sound like anything that I can think of? And there was no comparisons that really came to mind.
And those are my favorite musicians.
Yeah. Like, it's so incredibly singular.
The second you hear anything, you're like, Sandman. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like even his other bands that don't have this, like, it's Sandman. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you don't have to enjoy, for me, like, you don't have to enjoy the output, but as an artist, like, how do you not respect that? Yeah. That is the platonic ideal of art. Mm-hmm. Like, to create something so original, people like it, and people immediately know who did it. Yeah, yeah. Like, sure. It's that, and it continued the conversation. Like, it wasn't like some troll going like, "Ha ha! Now you know who I am." Like, people are still going like, this band had good ideas. Yeah. People are still taking stuff, and I think that's more important. Of like, you want people to pay attention to you because you worked hard on the thing and you're there to create. We just want a nice time. We want people to have a nice time. Yeah. So like, there is that a little bit, but like, I think there is like a more important thing of like the artists who inspired me to do it. Like, you just want something you do to inspire someone else. Like the biggest compliment I've ever had in my career was like some kid who was like newly 21. Sure. Like approaching me at like after a show at Palmer's and going like, I'm pretty sure like you're the reason I started a band. And I'm like, whoa. That is like the highest praise, man. Like oh my God. That's what I've always been after it for, is not like, it's just like, oh, I'm part of the larger conversation. Yeah. We're all part of this thing. Mm-hmm. And that is way more important than I think people realize, especially times like now. Yeah. Because it's like, we are asking you to buy in to what we're selling, but it's everywhere has been monetized to the point where like you either have to buy in or subscribe, or you have to act a certain way, be a certain way, think a certain way. You can't go anywhere that's not going to tell you how to do those things, other than maybe like going to a restaurant with friends or going to a show with friends. Yeah. That's like the only space that like where that is still sacred, where it's just like we can all be together and not have to be told how to do. We can just enjoy and just celebrate like, oh yeah, this is actually really cool that we're all doing this together. And especially now, like me, so when I'm not playing my own music or doing the radio thing, I work at this club called First Avenue. Yep. And so I see a lot of shows, and the industry is rough, but like there's that magic moment where you just see everybody become a kid again. Yeah. That makes you just like keep coming back. Yeah. And this is one of those bands that just like turns me into a kid, because you're just like, you just fumble over your technique, your tone, and you're just like, "Ah," and then you're just listening. It's like, you don't even need a guitar.
Yeah.
Man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm overthinking this. Like, you just gotta, like, and it brings you back to like why you started in the first place. And then you pick up your instrument and you start having fun again. And it's like, that's what is more important, is like the bands that actually inspire people to start bands, not like, well, this band they got all the hits.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, that's awesome. I'm not like, I think teenage me would probably come on a podcast like this and like, here's all the sacred cows we're gonna slaughter.
Right. Yeah.
But like now it's more like, that's so cool that like someone did that. Like, that's a thing we get to cover, we get to reinterpolate, we get to play with in any context we like. And that's like church shit, man. Like that's such a gift that people, I think, take for granted, you know, like, I mean, let's be real. Even Limp Bizkit has some things that like is great stuff, not like when you're thinking of a song that like makes you want to break things.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like,
and
I'm not
also,
going to
let me carry water for West Borland for a second.
Oh yeah. Let's get into that. Let's get into that.
I think he would be on more radars if he wasn't in Limp Bizkit.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, he's like a pretty creative musician. Like, I mean, like, you know, he also has like a weird bass guitar mashup thing.
And he is very rhythmic, but also like more harmonically complex than I think we're giving him credit for. Because like all Limp Bizkit's a monster truck rally. Like in a good way. Like I'm not like trying to like bring down the biscuit, you know, because we spent an entire decade doing that, and it got us nowhere, and now all that stuff's back. So like, okay, you know, but like it's the fact that I'm just glad people are having fun. You know, I'm just glad there are still shows to go to, because like, what else are when the Mars Volta was in town, like Omar said something on stage where it's just like, what is life without obsessions?
Truly, though, you know,
and it's just like, well, yeah, like life is hard. It's like Jeff Tweedy has that great lick where it's just like, I want something to enjoy my suffering. Yeah. You know, like that's really all we're looking for at the end of the day. And that's what this is. And it's just like, and bands like this just keep you coming back to like, I don't know, like this is a band I will listen to, like I will forget about, and then like you're on a long road trip and you're like, oh, I'm gonna put on Cure for Pain. Yeah, sure. And like it's such a great stuff to drive to. It's a really good driving music. Yeah, it really it's like is. It's kind of like perfect, especially for like for a road trip. It's like dead on. And there was other albums I was thinking about, but like this is the musician's musician, and I listened to some other episodes and like great talks, but everyone's like talking about like, you know, Tom Petty and like the Beatles, and I'm just like, well, yeah, but let's like Mark Sandman is a musician's musician. Yeah, for real. Like, I mean, to the point like where he's building his instruments, you know, like that's like it doesn't get more. It's insane. Yeah, for sure. Just like it's the love for the craft and the creativity is just like, and when you have good songs on top of that, who knows where you're going to take it? For sure. Yeah, and it also made me think. You saying that made me kind of think about how important it is to still be a fan. Yes. Like a, you know, remember why you got into music. 'Cause like there are I don't know if you relate to this, but like every time I put out a record,
while I'm putting it out, I'm like, I'm never fucking doing this again. Like I don't.
I'm there right now. No,
Yeah.
I'm like listening to the mixes, and I'm just like, this isn't even good. And now it's going on vinyl. Awesome. That's cool. So now this is just gonna suck forever.
It's either that. It's either that, or like you're like so proud of it, and then like.
Yeah.
You want everybody else to have it resonate the same way it resonated with you.
Right.
And so like, that's where I'm at the moment. But like, you know, I always have those moments where I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe everybody hates this. Maybe I'm never going to do this again. You know, I could probably make a pretty decent living being a sideman, and that would be fine. And like, I wouldn't have to worry about any of this, but then I'll go see a show and I'll be like so inspired. Like I remember, it was a couple of years back now, but it was at the Palace. I saw My Morning Jacket. And first off, it was the loudest show I've ever seen. I think that was that shook my bones. They're loud.
Those boys are loud.
But yeah, I just remember leaving and being like, I gotta make a record. Like I gotta make a record like now. And then I did. I made this one that's coming out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you bring up My Morning Jacket, because like I had a similar moment with that band down at, like, they played a secret show at Bonnaroo, and they were just like playing at midnight for like 3 hours.
Oh my God.
And like it was like a tent revival. like everyone left, like they had left church. Like they were just like, it's good to see all of y'all. I'll see you. Like they were going into their tents, like, I'll see all of y'all tomorrow. This was such a special experience. You know, like it just like,
oh man, that's
like,
so cool.
They're such a great live band too. Like, and
they're unreal.
But you need those moments. Like for me, I remember like when a band is so good, it takes me there when I'm at work, you know, like Kamasi Washington, you know, like it was just insane. Can
I actually, can I just tell you a quick story? Of something I just remembered that I think that you'll think is very funny.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it was Fleet Foxes, also at the Palace. I happened to get tickets, and like they were like balcony seats. And
I think I remember. I think I remember working this show,
yeah. So this is what I'm getting at. I remember getting so high before the show. Like, you know, when you just like, I just like push it a little accidentally too far. And so that's where I was. And I was to the point where I was just like studying my ticket to know what seat I was going to, you know, like that kind of.
By the time Fleet Foxes kicks in, this will be fine.
So I got there like right before they started playing. Like, it was actually perfect timing, but like the house lights were up and everybody was kind of whatever. And I get to I'm like, okay, I gotta get to my seat. And I get to the seat, and I sit down, and I see you, and you're like, you know, towards the front of the stage, you know, and then I'm like, oh, Stock. And then you, like, right when I said it out loud, and like not to anybody. Oh no, did you? Yeah. So not to anybody. And then you turn around and you make direct eye contact with me, and you just go, you start waving at me.
I remember that moment too. Cause I remember like just kind of going like, all right, yeah, the next band. All right, this is like, and then like I just look up and I was like, oh, it's Nick Costa.
It was like I was just like, oh my God, my brain is so powerful.
That must have felt like that scene in Life Aquatic where it's just like they do like that like weird zoom out in the theater. It's just like, oh, there he is, and it's like,
yeah, it was. It was. It felt exactly like that. But anyway. I thought that you would think that's funny. But that also was, though, one of those shows. Good. I mean, I'm sure being that biblically stoned probably helped, but it was kind of one of those shows where I was like, God, what a band. And like, I feel so inspired to like go write something, you know? Yeah. And I think like it's also easy to get into the trap of the imitation game. Mm-hmm. You know, when you get inspired, where it's just like, oh, I need to do that.
when I think it's
Yeah.
like, you need to take this feeling that was like kindled by the inspiration,
Absolutely.
and you need to find what's inside of you.
You need to interpret it through yourself and not be like,
Yeah.
I need to write a Fleet Foxes song, or, you know,
Right.
I need to write a Morphine song.
And right. And but like I do think it is important to have things like every art has some sort of thing, like a canvas or like the album or you know, some sort of maneuver, but it's the way you execute that maneuver.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not the fact that like how do you see a novel? What makes a good anything? What makes a good meal? What makes a good skateboard trick? What makes a good performance? Like it's a lot of it is in the eye of the beholder, but like there are still boxes that need to be checked. Like there are goals that need to like actually, you know, because sometimes there is like weird avant-garde art that's not for you, but it's accomplishing what it's trying to go for.
Yeah.
And I was always fascinated with that stuff because I'm just like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I can't really argue that. Like this is bad or good, because
Right.
it's really not about that if it's accomplishing what it set out to do, you know. And I think it's more important to focus in on that. It's like, what am I going for? And I always tried to be an artist that like, all right, if I'm striking out, I want to strike out swinging. You know,
Totally.
like I at least want to like, okay, like either I got beat by a better pitcher, or it's just like, oh, that's why that approach doesn't work. And you
Yeah.
discover something else had to like further your craft, therefore. Or it's just, you know, like sometimes things succeed, but like you don't, like the casual fan isn't going to really be interested, where it's just like, oh, I can't believe that guy squeezed out a walk out of that terrible at bat. You know, like sometimes an art project is that of just like the alchemy of just like, hey, this is lo-fi as I'll get out, but we're still going to try to find a way to make this as hi-fi as possible considering the conditions. Or a band like Morphine, where it's just like, what's the coolest thing you can do without a guitar?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it's not about like being a radio friendly unit shifter, and maybe it is, you know, like maybe, but like I've talked to so many people in the industry who basically tell me like at a certain level of talent, anyone can have a hit if you have like $500,000.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Yeah.
You know, how many musicians have you met where you're just like, why isn't that guy famous? Jeez.
Oh, countless.
You know,
Every
like,
person I've had on the show, basically, who, I mean, some of them are successful.
some of them are doing quite well.
Yeah. I'm sure some of them are not complaining about where
And
they're
also
at.
not hating on you guys. Like, good on you guys. Like, keep
Oh
doing
no,
what you're
like
doing.
I've been very privileged to talk to some of my heroes. But like,
Yeah. But like I've seen some of the cats that are on. It's like every single one of these cats is great songwriter. Like in a band I've seen live where it's like, yeah, great band, you know. But then you just realize like, oh yeah, every band that makes it is great.
yeah,
You know,
right.
and it's just like, oh, sometimes it's really not about like what is making it is a very nebulous term, because you know, like sometimes sometimes it's just like I don't want to make that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, because
Totally.
you can also fail at doing that, and then you like spend so much energy doing something you're not actually passionate about when
Yeah.
it should just be kind of there. Like we should kind of stick there. And I know it's kind of rich to say like, like money doesn't mean anything. Don't worry. I don't have that. Like this is more of like a Buddhist sense of just like, look, we're all going to have a tough game against a stacked deck. let's just be nice to each other, and because it's chaos. And if you find something that you enjoy that much, cool. Then your days are numbered. You know, like like that's the reality of this. So just let people enjoy things. As long as they're not hurting anybody, like let people because it's just, what is life without obsessions?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, on that note, I don't want to keep you forever, but I have two questions. One, we got to ask. One's a tough one. We got to ask the tough questions here. If you could rank the Morphine records, how would you rank them?
This is an interesting question because when I sent it to you, I would have put.
You just told me to listen to every record, by the way.
Yeah, but I said every record, but especially Cure for Pain, Good, and Yes.
Yeah, which is 3/5.
But like Swimming might make the top 3.
Okay, all right.
Like now that I've listened to it again, and Because the Night, it's not a bad record. I think it's just the other records just have this fire, and I think because the Night was released posthumously anyway. Yeah. And he died mysteriously. He died on stage, which is this is the most musician's musician. He did something no one else was doing. He did it his way. And he really captivated the world with it, and then just died on stage. Right. And there's interviews with Josh Homme of just we had to go on stage and play after that, man. And it was it was dark, Jesus. So it's just this guy is he's just got this cool narrative that drew me in. But Because of the Night, when you listen to that record, I'm only ranking it at the bottom, not because I think it's clearly the worst record. It's just it just felt so final. Yeah, sure. Where the rest of the records, Mark feels very much alive. Yeah. Where this record just feels like an epitaph in a weird way. It just kind of felt we were working on this, and this is obviously a tragic, and but we need to do something to honor it. And it really kind of does feel like a eulogy in a weird way. It's hard for me to listen to that record and be and a lot of his songs are sad to begin with, but
that's very true. Yeah.
That record for me, I would put at 5th, not because I'm knocking the composition as much as the overall vibe gives me that. But I think before I would have said Swimming, but after listening to Good again, it's got a few songs that I feel this is one of my favorite Morphine songs. But overall, I think Swimming hits better as a record. And then I'm going to go Yes at number 2, and then Cure for Pain at number 1. Live album, I'm not going to rank because I feel I feel it's there's awards for singles tennis and doubles tennis. I feel live albums, it's not that it's a different sport. It's not that it doesn't count. But it's a different thing.
I always rank live albums very separately from. I also very rarely
like live albums. I like live albums. I was raised by Deadheads. I get that.
Sure. Yeah. I do like the Dead, but it's pretty rare that I go for a live album. I'm one of the Dead. I'm one of the rare Dead fans that's just I don't know. The studio records are pretty good. Whoa. Yeah. The Wake of the Flood is so good.
Interesting, because I'm very much the Grateful Dead was a live experience, and I am just they just never could capture it in the studio. They never did it that's that's really interesting. I'm glad you're out there, to be honest.
That being said, it's 3 records that are I think are really great, and that's Wake of the Flood, American Beauty and
American Beauty, for
Working
sure.
Man's Dead.
Oh yeah, I think for me, the studio albums are American Beauty, Working Man's Dead, and Terrapin Station.
Oh, Terrapin Station's great.
When I was a kid, I thought, oh, I just like that record because of the Turtles, because
Of course, yeah.
I like Turtles.
Yeah.
But like I do think it is also like one of their strongest studio recordings.
It seems to
yeah,
kind of capture the
yeah.
live thing a little bit better
Yeah.
on that one.
Wow, we got ranking into the Dead. Huh?
Yeah, wow, we what a segue.
But yeah,
Anyway.
there we go. All right, so what are the other hard hitting questions?
It's only one, and it's much easier. And that would be I usually ask this at the top of the show, but like, what's new with Sawtooth Witch? You just rebranded.
Yeah. So we were just at that point where this record is going to sound so different that it was either deal with every show going like, yeah, I like the songs, but like, why do all these old records just sound like, are you ever going to redo these old records? Just like, and it just was kind of one of these things that like, it was meant to be a solo side project that for some reason kind of got away. And now I feel like it went from this place of like, nothing's off limits. We're going to experiment with genre. We're going to experiment with setting. We're going to experiment with gear. We're going to experiment with like what makes something pleasant to listen to versus like what it, and it just over the time kind of solidified into like an actual sound.
Okay.
So now we have this record coming out, and we work with Holly Hansen.
Great.
Zoo Animal, and she owns Salon Sonics, a great studio in Minneapolis. And then Nat Harvey is going to be mixing it.
Oh, wow.
And so like we're kind of in that stage where we're like just like we're so close, and it's really exciting.
That's
but
super
it's also
exciting.
like so yeah, I'm super excited just because like everything about this record, I couldn't ask for like a better debut record. It's like I've always wanted to work with these people for a long time. Like I just think I like the way Holly thinks about music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she just makes really good decisions like in her own writing and her own production, and just the records she produced for other bands. I was just like, I kind of like to see what you would do with my sound. And Nat's the same way, like I feel like you can't like have a tie-in to the Sawtooth Mountains without having some Duluth representation on this record. So like, I am really excited that Nat is mixing it. And it's funny because like they're mixing it at the same time as, like right at the same time as like this Alan Sparhawk, Trampled by Turtles collab.
Yeah.
So, like they were like texting me. It's just like I'm just like surrounded by violin. Like, like I never expected to be. Like this is a welcome surprise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, super excited. We're gonna. I don't know. Like release strategies are so weird. I think like at first I was just gonna be like, we're gonna put it out old school, and now I'm like, I think we're just gonna do what everyone else is doing. We'll just waterfall, and instead of putting it out this year, like, but if you want it, just I got a Patreon. You can get it early, but
cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be it's done. We're just at that stage of like, I gotta. It's like everything in releasing a record is like that scene in where Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's just like, wait, this is a geographical oddity. 6 weeks from everywhere. Like, every deadline is just like, well, yeah, push that 6 weeks out, push that 6 weeks out, push that 6 weeks out.
And it's always changing too. I mean, it's like, it changes like the social media algorithm, you know, it's like,
and I don't like, I have no idea. I used to like, now I've never felt older because I used to do this for other bands. And then I was just like, oh, I should just do this for my own stuff. And then now I'm just like, I don't know. And I don't want to get a TikTok. I like,
yeah, sure.
Everyone's just like, well, you know what you should do? I'm like, don't.
I swear. Yeah.
It's like
the thing is with that too, like it's people say it's a necessity, but like if you try to promote your creations on TikTok, nobody gives a shit. Nobody really cares.
No. Well,
right?
like you have to understand, like you're competing with like, do you know what people watch on like Instagram? Like they watch like cool coffee makers making coffee.
The espresso that goes in the little chocolate maze and then the chocolate melts into the cup.
Yeah. It's like they watch very expressive dogs. They watch, you know, people making bread. Like they want different kinds of stimulation, but like I just feel like that Mike Birbiglia joke, like I'm the guitar guy at the party, like that's how I feel. I love music, but even like even when a guitarist I know pops up in my feed, sometimes I'm just like, guitar guy at the party. Like even I'm like, I'm like,
I don't want to be that guy.
Music, I will go down to the club and watch music and be like, oh man, they're so good. But like, even I'm not on my phone consuming music that way. So I'm just like, why? And I guess people find it, but like, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, new Sawtooth Witch, it's coming out. Follow me.
Yeah. Well, the Patreon's a good.
Don't. It's going to be great.
The Patreon's a good way to support and also get a
well, the Patreon's weird because it's mainly for my radio show as an archive for that. But like the extra levels are just like, well, I've been in like 9 bands, so if you want to pay extra for that stuff, you can. But
it's worth
just
it.
Like it's mainly is just like, hey, chip in for the archive of the show. If you want to pay extra, like every band I've been in, you can get that. And then there's like layers where it's like you can do like ticket giveaways and you can get on the guest list for stuff. But that's also like geographically limited, you know.
Right, sure.
It's like if I'm playing in your, like this has happened where like if someone is like in the city I'm in and it's just like, oh my god, like one of my patrons lives here. It's just like, you're on the list. You're not paying to get in, but it's like, hell yeah. But like it's mainly for my radio show, so it's like it's not like the Sawtooth Witch Patreon. But if you want the Sawtooth Witch record, you can get it. You can even do the thing, which I know people do, and just like sign up for 1 month, download all my crap, and then like
been there
and subscribe. I've seen it done. I get it. You know, like I you know, it's fine. Do that. But yeah, it'll be coming out. It's definitely something this year, but I think we're gonna save the whole full length. Right, this is like inside baseball. I'm just like, and then I'm gonna. But yes, new music is on the way.
Oh, that's super exciting, and I'm very, very stoked to hear it. And then On that note, I won't keep you, but thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you so much
thanks
for being
having me.
Yeah, thanks for being a musician's musician.